How's it going, everyone? How we doing? Welcome back to Litra's Creative Corner. It's been about a month, and super happy to be back. You were just watching a 2019 Sigma commercial reel from Timur Civan. So that is our special guest today. Super excited to have Timur on. And so if you don't know anything about Timur, here's a little bit about him before we bring him on. Born and raised in New York City, Timur Civan has always seen the world through the eyes of an artist. He began pursuing his creative passion as a contemporary sculptor, incorporating video images into some of his works and exploring a variety of innovative art forms, including photography. So becoming a director of photography was therefore a natural progression for him. His clients include Infor, Louis Vuitton, Pepsi, Dior, Tom Ford, Nike, Samsung, Ford, Microsoft, Toyota, Sony, and Tiffany and Company. Wow, dude, that's an awesome client list. We're going to dig into how he got those clients and what he does on a daily basis and just how this whole thing started. So I'm going to go ahead and bring on Timur, and we are going to get this thing going. Thanks for joining us today, everyone. Let's see if he's coming on. Timur, how are you, man?
Good, man. What's going on?
Not much. How are you?
Very well.
Good deal. Thanks for joining us today on Litra's Creative Corner. Appreciate it. Looking good with the blue back there. I got some half and half to match you. I started off by giving everyone a little bit of an introduction about who you were and some of your clients, but I kind of want you now just to like spill the beans. Like, this is your time to kind of tell us all how this whole thing started for you in this journey, and then we'll dig into your client list, how you got started there, how Litra's helped you. But let's go back a little bit. Let's rewind and how did this thing start for you?
How far back do you want to go?
Yeah, that's true. When did it start becoming like real to you that you were working with some of the people that, clients that most people would want to work with?
Well, I got to start. Okay, so the joke is that I stupided my way in,
Nice, of course.
I was as you mentioned before, I was an artist, a sculptor, and all that. And basically, what happened was I made a piece of work that got a video installation thing that got into some tiny gallery in Queens, and it happened to be 2 doors down from someone who was a bigwig at an ad agency.
Oh, wow.
And they took it got like a little 1-inch square blurb in the New York Times art section, just saying like, what's happening now. And it was just like a list of a bunch of galleries and different things. And somebody took a picture of my thing, and that was like the headline photo. And it just said my name and which gallery. And the guy was like, oh, that's right next door. Let me go look at it. And he liked it. And they contacted me through the gallery, and about a week later, I was on set DPing a commercial I had no business DPing.
Right.
And it just sort of like took off from there. Like it was just being in the right place at the right time early on. And I think a big part of it was just that, like, this was during the transition from film to digital, so like 2005, 2006. And like I was like the only guy that knew how to work a digital camera, because
Nice.
It was a little small, low budget thing, but they were like, oh, you have one of those DVMX 560 100 cameras. I was like, yeah, I have one of those. So it's like, we got through it. Let's put it that way. And
Yeah.
And it was decent enough, and they kind of just kept calling me back. So it was sort of like, but that lasted for a very short period of time. It was just sort of I faked it a little too much before I made it, so.
Yeah.
So from that point, I just started out, started from the bottom and came up as a camera assistant, and, started building from there, and just one step at a time. I mean, it's a pretty linear progression, to a point. And then there was sort of a point where I think some changes that I made in outlook and view,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Well, I think once you hit a certain spot and you get a level of confidence and then you just get that, practice in and being on set, being an assistant, then you can move into that DP role. I think that that's huge. So how did you make filmmaking full time? I mean, you started as a sculptor. I mean, a lot of people would like to just show up on set and be there. And then sometimes people have other side gigs. I mean, were you just grinding away at multiple productions?
It was honestly, right around the time that happened.
Uh-huh.
The only reason I had bought the DVX camera to shoot my video work. I was like, I want something nice, and I was working at the Museum of Natural History, um, in the upstairs in the stacks, like organizing and insects and things like. And it's weird job that kid gets in New York. It's one of those
Right.
things.
For
Um,
sure.
and but I was really active in dvxuser.com and
Oh, yeah.
shooting all the festival films. They used to do the DVX fests. So every 3 months I would shoot 4 films, 3 or 4 films, for different
Wow.
people and all that. And some of them were awful. So like you really the awful, and I don't mean awful like the finished product was awful. I mean awful like the production was awful. And so
Right.
so that's where you learn how to do it the right way and what not to do basically. So
Yeah.
while that was all going on, yeah, it just started like meeting people, and when someone does something for free, there's always pulling in friends and favors, but often those friends and favors are coming from better places. So they're like, oh, so you do this, and oh, well, I got a little thing. Maybe next week if you're free, like that, and it just little by little snowballs up until you know,
Yeah. I
you
want
kind of you
to.
kind of look back and realize how you got don't realize how you got there.
Yeah, for sure. Well, being at the right place, the right time, doing good work, I think all of these things. I think our industry is super important, especially as like freelance DPs and people who just get pulled onto set for odds and ends as assistants. But, you know, the connections in this industry are extremely important. And I had that question down there. Why do you think connections are extremely important besides just the networking and the job next week that you might get on set today? What do you think connections provide further than that?
Well, part of when I said like this part,
Yeah.
when right before that happens, um, you I kind of had a little coming to Jesus moment where I was sort of it hadn't been going very well, and um, I think I had gone almost 6 months without working, and I was like starting to look for a job and stuff like that. And I kept getting then I started getting calls for like really bad stuff, like just
Right.
$100. I mean, like literally like $100 a day,
Yeah.
but nothing hard. I mean, they're just like, oh, I need you to go to Randall's Island and shoot a B-roll shot of this building, and it's $150 and $75 for travel. So it's like, and there's just all these like really like small low rent kind of things, and then I just sort of realized I was like, and I was just started thinking about it. I was like, wait, that guy knows this guy who called me for that other horrible thing, and then that guy called me for that other horrible thing. And then I realized that I was just in a in the wrong circle,
Right.
So
Hmm.
I that was sort of when I realized the most powerful thing you can do to get better jobs is to say no to ones that you don't want, that don't sort of put you on the trajectory you want to be on.
Right.
So having like sort of it was at a point where I was like, all right, nothing's going well anyway. What's it going to hurt at this point? I just said no to everything. That
Yeah.
wasn't like the couple of clients I liked a lot.
Yeah.
And like magic, a week later, someone goes, hey, are you available this day and this day and this day? Like, they're like, we have 3 sets of dates. We're not sure which one. And because I had cleared the schedule, I was like, yeah, I'm open for all of them.
Yep.
And then, did that job. And then, then they were like, oh, I think we got something else, da da da. And it just kept like, and it just sort of like, I got in, you get into the circle of the people you like working with,
Right.
the
Yeah.
ones
The
that respect.
yeah the good circle that you want to be in, right? Like
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, connections are super important only if they are the right connections, right? And sometimes you have to
Mhm.
say no. And you also realize you're at a point too in your career when you can start saying no. There's a time where early in your career you might not have had that option, right? So you finally get to a point where you can say no, which is great. So let's fast forward to now. What's a working day look like for you, like yesterday or today?
Well, right now.
Sure.
Um, yeah, but on the average, I mean I mean I just for the first time got an agent about 2 days
Cool.
before the quarantine. So
Nice.
it's been a little slow, but it wasn't actually a bad thing because what they do for you is they help sort of advise and craft, and it's more of management than a true agent. You know, they take it's a management company. They take a little bit more percentage, but they do a lot more for you. You
Okay.
can turn to them for advice and you know suggestions, and they actively go out and try and you know drum up work for you, as opposed to being more of a passive thing. Um, and one of the things that they sort of walk you through is just sort of like how to plan out and how to like know what the value of each thing that you bring to the table is worth. You know, so like, you know,
Right.
and I'm not talking equipment. I'm talking like personal. You know, as an artist, as a human being, you know, he says, you know, if you're going to go out there and you're going to be, you know, they want you to make a perfume bottle fly in the air and have flowers fly at it. You know, he's like, you have to figure out how to do that. That's time. We're billing
Right.
for that. You know, and it's like, and he's like, oh, you have to go pick up the flowers? Yeah, that's time. We're billing for that. You know, like, so they kind of like show you that, you know, all the things, the bad habits that you pick up as a freelancer, kind of trying to take anything you can get, um, they help refine you into a much more professional and like legitimate force. But
Wow.
because they're in your corner, you know, you don't, you know, it's not necessarily comfortable for everyone to have that discussion with a client. He
Right.
has no fear. Oh my God, those guys are brutal. And it works, of course, but it's more like I find it more interesting in that like on a day-to-day basis, you know, now instead of worrying about when my next job is, I'm spending time thinking about the creative stuff and how I can, you know, what skill sets can I add to increase my value. You know what I mean? So like you
Right.
come up to an actual shoot and now it's they say we want this to happen. Well, I've already shot that last week because I was testing in my studio, which I'm in right now, my home studio. I cleared out my
Right.
garage and converted the space. And so it's like, oh, I have that skill set now. Sure. I need this. I need this person, this person, this person. They can be remote. They can be remote. They can build the thing and just mail it to me, whatever it is. But you walk into it with a much more rounded knowledge of what's necessary and how you're going to accomplish it. And
Right.
you're just not wasting time. And it actually winds up saving you time in the long run because now you're not like sitting around worrying about, oh, they want this thing. How do I make that happen? It's like, oh, I know who makes that happen. And this goes back to
Right.
the connections thing because it's you know once you start collecting and saving the phone numbers of the people that are much better at you than the things, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, like a motion control operator or a phantom technician or art stylist or whatever. You know, I mean, I can do those things, but I can't do it as well as they can. But once you start bringing those people together, you know, and you build like a super team basically, and that's really what it comes down to these days at the really high end of commercial is that
Right.
it I'm noticing like the camera is becoming less and less important and my job is becoming easier because there's a stellar set to shoot and the product is
Sure.
beautifully rigged and
Mm-hmm.
the you know and then lighting it becomes so easy because now I'm not fighting 1,000 things you know like you know
Right.
you as everyone knows you know you point a camera at a white wall you get a picture of a white wall you point a camera at something gorgeous you get a gorgeous picture you know the action was the same for the most part it's what you put in front of it matters so the team you
Right.
build and you know the management of that you know how to convey you know my needs as the photographer cinematographer you know to them you know the communication becomes really important so those are the things that like I work on a day-to-day basis is to like increase the lines of communication you know maintain relationships with all the people that do great work look for new people that do great work that are better at certain things you know not one
Right.
stylist can do it all you find someone that builds splash rigs, or you find someone that builds, or is just really good at like, keeping the products like perfectly polished and clean and can make them like stand on the, the point of the corner of the bottle or something, they have the
Right.
special skills to do that, and then you just start refining and growing that, and your tools stop becoming the camera and it starts becoming the people
Yeah.
that you
Well,
choose to bring on,
yeah,
to
and
achieve the goal.
right, yeah, and you realize how important all these individual parts are, like to keep the wheel turning smoothly. I mean, you have to have the good set deck, and then you have to have your manager now getting you the job. So it allows you to focus in on what you are good at, and then it allows them to focus in on what they are good at. And then
Hmm.
by the time it all gets wrapped up, it's 100% because everyone put in
Right,
100% in all of their little sections, right? So
right.
it's super important. And some people, just aren't at that level in their career, and that's okay. But you realize once you get on set and a bigger set that it really is important. It makes your life a lot easier. It's a lot less hectic. I mean, there's nothing better than telling you an AD telling you that you only have so much time left to do something, right? So, like, it's just one of those things where you realize how important it is once everyone's in the same room and people are really good at certain things, and you really can tell your weaknesses at the same time. But I kind of want to move in now to
Hmm.
the client list, man. The client list
Hmm.
is super strong and
Thank you.
really cool stuff. It's very, very much, it seems like a lot of ads and commercial stuff, a lot of commercial work. I saw a short film that we'll pay attention to in a little bit called Operator. That was for
Hmm.
the Sigma line lens
Hmm.
test. But let's talk about maybe this recent IKEA shoot, because you had used some Litra lights, I
Hmm.
believe, on the shoot. I think you used the Pro and the Studio. Tell us about that process, and then kind of tell us, kind of what the day was like and how that made your life easier. As you're talking, I'm going to pull up some photos so you can
Sure,
just
sure.
keep talking. So,
Yeah, that was the first job I did under quarantine.
okay.
I have two friends of ours that are actors. They live right down the street, and we've all been, in close contact on, phone and Zoom and Skype and all that stuff. Hold on, I keep getting text messages.
You're
Um,
good.
and so agent brought the job through and said, hey, it's for IKEA, and they're hiring a bunch of people, different DPs across the country to capture slice of life moments. And one of the, of course, safety and all that. So, I called my friends who are actors and I said, hey, you guys, go get go get tested. Let's
Right.
and we figured out, I mean, it wasn't, this was before there was anything official, so we figured if we, because no one was working and everyone, wanted to be able to pay their bills. So we said, look, let's all go get tested, quarantine for, be really hardcore about it for 2 weeks leading up to, and we were, and then we got tested again 2 days before. So the results came in time. Everyone was clear, and we still practiced, all the basic safety protocols and everything. But it was really, I mean, it was difficult, but we felt pretty confident about it, and everyone's been clear since. Um, but basically, what the the problem was that we didn't have. They asked for specifically saying, hey, it's totally okay. We understand that things are difficult right now. If it's just available light, that's fine. They're like, we just want to see people coming together, pretending it's 6 months from now. When we can come out of quarantine.
Gotcha.
And I had a few things, and one of the things I had was the Litra Studio and the Litra Pro. The Pro is the small one, the Studio is the bigger one.
Right.
And I was just using it to create sort of like washes of color, throughout the house, and so it was just sort of made this like warm tint and all that, and there were other a few other couple of units that I had that were in play also, of course, but it was the only RGB light that I had, and that was actually kind of great because it was just a way to like, it's a little hard to tell from the image you're looking at there, but the outside was much more blue. So we built like a nice
Yes.
contrast between the two, the inside and the outside, and there's also a lot less saturated than it looks there. On
Yeah,
my
I was gonna say
on
this
my
isn't doing too much of it justice as far as the
yeah,
color
on my on
correction
my
goes.
phone on my phone it's pretty blown out, but it's
Oh,
fine.
is it?
You get the gist. You get
Yeah,
the gist.
absolutely. There are a lot of mixed colors going on, cool on the outside, warm on the inside, but then just like
natural tones across the lady's face that's across the table. It doesn't look like it on this, but her skin
Yeah,
tones aren't as red as they look. However,
yeah.
the walls are fairly red. I think we're just picking up a white balance issue with the auto camera stuff on the
Hmm.
iPhone, but just a lot of cool tones there. I was really stoked to hear that you got to use the studio. That's one of the newer lights, and that thing is absolutely game changing. And no one was tripping over any cords, I guess, right?
No, all battery powered, and I don't think, and I was shooting on the S1H, the kind of
Okay.
the Lumix, that's sort of my smaller shoot, low light monster. I have the helium for
Yeah.
tabletop and use that one for everything else. But 4,000 ISO, wide open on the Sigmas, on the Sigma Primes, the art lenses. Um,
Yeah.
PL mount, not the stills ones, the cine ones. And
Sure.
I was keying everyone at the table with maybe 5 or 10 candles.
That's awesome.
So the
Yeah.
Litra was only at, I think, 4 or 5% output for that shot, and
Yeah.
outdoors was dark, and it just saw right through it, and it looked like it was way bright. Like we just kept waiting for the sun to go down, and the damn thing is so sensitive that you just can't get the sun to get dark enough. Like
Right. Yeah.
it goes
It's a
straight
good problem to
across.
have.
Yeah, I mean yeah, yes and no, but
To an, yeah,
but when you're
exactly.
shooting at actual candlelight levels, that's
Right.
that's that's what happens. So
Totally.
it was like the little thing was a lifesaver. Do you have the other shot of the moonlight? Do you have that one?
Um, I don't think I do. I just had the two that were emailed over to me.
Can I
Um,
text you one?
yeah, let me see. It's from the same shoot, right? From IKEA?
Yeah, yeah. It's two of them. I'm actually in one of them, which I'm not super thrilled about, but um,
Will you email it to me so I can just pull it up
yeah,
on the computer?
yeah.
Yeah, but the behind the scenes looked really cool from what I saw, but I don't think I caught this image.
Yeah, hold on. I got it right here. I'll just send it to you. Um, this one was fun because what we did was, sorry, I hope you guys
Oh, you're good.
can tolerate a few seconds.
Hey, it's live. That's what it's all about. We're allowed to
Um,
mess up. Uh-oh, might have lost him. Let's see if he. Uh-oh, we might have lost Tim. Let's see if we can get him back on.
can you
Are you
guys hear
there?
me? Yeah, my it keeps getting a low connection, low signal connection thing, which
Uh,
is just sort of what's happening, I guess.
well, we have about 5 minutes left because I know you said you had around 30.
Hmm. I mean,
Do
I
you
can
just
hang
want
out
to?
for a few more. It's fine.
Okay, perfect. That'd be great.
It's not a big deal. Okay, so I'm sending them to you now.
Perfect.
This is actually a better example of what I liked about them. Okay, so you should have it in your text messages now.
Perfect. Got it right here.
So
Pull it
it's
up.
shot reverse shot, um, and so start with the one with the two ladies facing the camera. Yeah, that one. Um, so that's just the garden lights, and I put a bunch of tea candles around in the background. And sort
Yeah.
of for the moonlight, I took the Litra and I set it to 10,000 Kelvin, and I just built a little cardboard iris to make it just like a little round circle. Threw it up on a stand as high and as far back as I could in the backyard, basically placing it where the moon is, for all intents and purposes. And I think it was at like 2%. And again, at
Oh wow.
4,000 ISO T14, it was enough, and it just gave this kind of. And again, the colors are a little too strong on the example you got there, but
Sure.
it built this beautiful like sort of moonlight effect. Now, if you show the reverse shot, um, what's in the background is the actual moon that I was matching to. Um,
Let me do one thing here. You're just gonna get a lot of text here from me, but it's the only way
that's
that I
fine.
can move it up, oddly. So,
That's awesome. All right,
uh,
so that's the That's oh, it doesn't look like a dot like it looks like on mine, but
Yeah, it's like a perfect dot on the actual image there.
yeah, and there
But
it's
but
sort
our
of oh,
there you
there it
go.
goes. Yeah, that's much more like it.
Yeah.
And that's the real moon. So, and now the light that's on the trees that you can see, like that kind of the blue dapple that's rolling across the trees. That was I just turned the Litra to just give a little bit of kiss on the trees, and it gives it this like nice glistening. When it moves, like the trees are moving in the wind and they glisten. It looks like you're in the Caribbean. It's really beautiful.
That's
Um,
awesome.
so like
It's
with
almost
one light at 2%, some fast lenses, a good camera, and some nice art direction, we were able to kind of make something that looked like, at least reasonable quality that I felt comfortable being like, yes, that can be on TV. And it was 2 days
yeah.
after I uploaded it, we saw it on television. And we were like, oh,
Perfect.
that's Katie, like, hey, we made that one. That's great.
That's awesome, man. That's great. It looked super natural. It looked nice and soft. I like what you did with the trees, like going the opposite way, so it looks like almost like a reflection with some light going back in. It really is cool, and it's kind of changed, from where Litra had started with this little torch, and now we're all the way up into RGBWW for more cinema style stuff. We're getting more pros like you using that, which is absolutely awesome. I want to move in now really quick to Operator. It's like a 3-minute short film that you shot with some, I think it was the Sigma lenses as well. I think it was the T1.5.
No, this was actually a demo film for the classics, the Sigma
Oh, the
classics,
classics. Gotcha.
the uncoated lenses. And
Yes.
so it was on a red Monstro full frame with classics, a Steadicam. I had one LED panel and a vintage phone in a in
Yeah.
a in a great location.
It was it's pretty amazing. The house that you guys shot that in looked incredible. I like the song is really cool, like the soundtrack thing that keeps playing. It's
That's
lots of
my
nice, beautiful.
shout out to Jesse Katansky. He's the musician that made that. He's a really talented guy and plays in a few bands. But
Oh,
he's
cool.
it's his own personal music. And I always use his stuff for my films.
It's always nice to have that friend, man.
Yeah,
So let's check it out. This is the Operator,
thanks.
and bear with the quality for me. Those flares are incredible.
Yeah, that's kind of the point.
Yeah, absolutely. I could tell just the way that you shot into the windows a lot.
I put the poor lenses through a real nightmare scenario though. Like just worst case for them every time. Big, broad, soft, overexposed windows.
I know, I love
for
it. Look at that.
for a lens with no coatings, that's just a nightmare.
It, I, I think it brings a really cool look. I mean, I think it's a selective look. I think for this, it's perfect. Like that right there. Boom.
Yeah, my wife, who's the dancer, is choreographed and directed.
Very cool. She did an amazing job. I bet. See, that's nice. You got to work with your wife, so it was a little bit easier to maybe direct and shoot. Because I know this was all mostly Steadicam, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, she basically choreographed with the Steadicam operator together. It was Jason Leeds, and they just did it together. It was awesome. I didn't have to do anything. I was literally just hit run stop on the camera and adjusted the iris. They kind of nailed it with the camera move and how it interplayed together.
That's when you know you got the right crew right there. When
And that's what I'm talking about. You bring in really good people, and you don't really have to do very much.
Right. Exactly.
You know?
And I think it just takes the budget and the right job to be able to do so, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was awesome. Nice
Thank you.
work.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, super fun. Again, just showing off the way to use those uncoated lenses and just doing it in a super unique way, and stuff like that where you're like, oh, those are the types of videos you watch online. You're like, okay, I want to go shoot something. You know what I mean? So those
Thank you.
are, yeah, absolutely. So we saw a lot of unique lighting in there, a lot of natural light. We saw a lot of lighting in the still images from the IKEA commercial. Very general question here, but why is lighting so important to the image?
Because it is the image.
It is the image.
I mean, it's kind of an obvious answer, but you know, it's the coolest thing about. I mean, the coolest thing about light in general is just even from like a scientific point of view is that even we don't really understand it fully. You know, I mean, we know what it does. We can predict it to a certain degree, but you know, there's still, you know, is it a particle? Is it a wave? Is it both? It is both. It isn't both. It's, you know, it's everything. So, you know, you're always going to have a little bit of like chaos in it and a little bit of the unknown. And
Right.
sometimes, you know, you turn the light on and it just hits like, you know, that one spot where it reflects in the right way and it just bounces here and it makes a thing. And, you know, there's sort of like a chaos to it and a surprise around every corner, you know, like, and that's just what makes it fun. And, you know, half the time the stuff that people get credit for being like, oh, that light you put there was brilliant. And half the time it's an accident. You know, it was, you know,
Right.
the gaffer was, you know, grips are throwing up a stand and the gaffer's just shaking the thing around and somebody strikes it on and it's pointed totally in the wrong direction, but that little bit of light leak around the corner makes something amazing happen here, you know, and then all of a sudden they're like, don't move, don't touch anything, we're keeping that, you know. And so it's like accidents happen and you can of course predict it as much as you want, but you can also just kind of let it roll and sometimes you come up with magic. So
For sure.
light is kind of the constant variable, I guess. You know, it is its own contradiction physically and artistically, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And I ask you because it's easy kind of for us because we deal with it daily, right? And we know how to shape and we know what to bring and we know what we don't have when we need it and on set. And but there are some people still that don't have any clue that are on this channel and are still wanting to learn. So I think that answer right there was perfect. And again, it's obvious, but we don't exactly know what it is, but we know what it can do.
And there's also no right and no wrong when it comes to lighting. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, you look at the work of the coolest thing I find about light is that it's quote unquote good light and quote unquote bad light is contextual. So
Yeah.
you take, you know, photographer like, perfect example. Like, you know, everybody hates the on-camera flash. You know, everybody
Yeah.
thinks it looks terrible. Well, not when, you know, somebody like Terry Richardson does it. He was able
Sure.
to use the context of the who he was taking a picture of. You know, whether it was an actor or a famous politician or whatever, you know, the gravity and the weight came from their expression, the moment he chose to do. And he just used the flash as just a capture medium for a moment to reduce it, not because he wants a soft side light with, you know, Rembrandt shadows and, you know, chiaroscuro and all that. No, it's just a front flash meant to show that moment in its entirety. And that
Yeah.
makes it good light. Even though it's bad
Yeah.
light, it becomes good light, you know? So
Yeah.
that's the thing is like, I say for somebody who's learning how to light, like, man, just go nuts. You know, that you're not going to know what works and what doesn't until you try it. So I've lit so much garbage and over the years, you know, like
Yeah. Totally.
I've just done a piss poor job many times in the beginning. But that's how
Yeah.
I mean, there's no other way to learn. You just have to do it, you know?
Yeah, you go back, look at some of your old stuff, you're like, oh, what was I thinking? You're like, oh, that's before I knew to lit shadow side, or like any just little
Hmm.
things, man, just that now it's second nature, right? We put it up and we know what we're doing and we don't even think about it sometimes.
I can save a lot of young people a lot of time. Far side key, you're good.
Yeah,
Just far side
exactly.
key, you're good. Don't worry about
Far side
anything
key,
else.
shadow side or far side key, same thing,
Yeah,
dude. When I
that's all
learned
it is.
that day, I was like, wow, that is like the tech right there. That's the tech.
It
Well, I love that advice.
always
I
looks
love
good.
that advice, man. Yeah, you're right. Dude, thank you so much for joining us. I really
Of course, no
appreciate it.
problem.
It was really awesome getting to know you, and I want to stay in touch with you. I
Of
got you on
course, yeah,
Instagram now,
anytime.
so let's stay in contact, and next time I'm out your way, we'll say hey to each other. But awesome work, man. Really
Thank
a
you
big
so
fan
much,
of what
Drew.
you're doing, and keep it up, keep it up. And anytime you have light your stuff, send it our way, man.
Sure. Thanks for having me, and
Uh,
have a good day.
cool, man. You too. Talk to you soon. Thanks so
Bye
much.
bye.
See ya. Guys, that was awesome. He's so talented. His work is unbelievable. Visit his website at timurcivan.com, or his Instagram is down there. You can see it there. It's at Tim Civan, or it is Timur Civan, on his Instagram as well. Add him there, go to his website, ask him questions, anything you need. He has a lot of really, really cool content, and his website's really cool because it has like his list of clients and all these like cool reel videos and stuff. So super talented. Those are the types of people that you need in your life to keep inspiring you. So thank you for that, Timur. I keep saying Timur. It's Timur, by the way. So thank you guys so much for joining us on Litra's Creative Corner. We will see you in a month from now. I know it seems like a lot, but we do have a very, very special guest coming up next month, and it starts with I and ends with Justine. So we're very happy to have Justine on next month. So join us in a couple weeks, and we will talk to you soon. Thanks so much.